Field Marshal John French was a soldier through and through and had a glorious career during the colonial era of the British Empire, but all the battles around the world could not prepare him for modern war. My name is Indy Nidell. Welcome to the Great War and a new bio episode of Who Did What in World War I about British Field Marshal Sir John French. John Denton Pinkstone French was born September 28, 1852. Same birthday as me, but not the same year, in the English village of Ripple Vale. His father was Royal Navy officer William French, who died 2 years after his son was born. His mother, Margaret, would suffer from severe depression afterwards, so John and his older sister Charlotte were sent to London to live in the care of other relatives. At the age of 14, John French joined the Royal Navy, but in 1874 he switched to the Army, where his career soon took off. In 1885, he went to the Sudan with the 19th Royal Hussars, where he took part in the Nile expedition to rescue Charles Gordon, the famous general. Gordon and his troops were besieged in Khartoum by Mahdi rebels. The rescue attempt ultimately failed, and Gordon was killed, but French's actions got the attention of his superiors, and 4 years later, he gained command of the 19th Hussars at the age of 36. Posted to India as a colonel in 1891, his career was nearly derailed when he was cited for adultery while on leave, which the men promptly called French leave. But several years later, he again began commanding cavalry brigades. French apparently had friends in high places. During the Second Boer War, he served in South Africa. This led to conflict with his sister, who was now a member of the up-and-coming British anti-war movement, a conflict that would continue throughout their lives, with French's sister quite likely his most vocal critic. In South Africa, where he became a national hero, French commanded the cavalry in Natal. Again, his superiors were impressed with him after the British success at the Battle of Elandslaagte in October 1899. And then, as general, he took Kimberley and its huge diamond deposits. He would take part in the Battle of Paardeberg soon after, which was the first big victory in the Second Boer War. After his success in South Africa, he returned home. Promoted several times over the following years, in 1912 he became Chief of the Imperial General Staff, the professional head of the British Army. He was also the candidate for leading the British Expeditionary Forces in case of war, and those were the troops that were sent to Belgium and France in 1914. The first major action for the BEF was at the Battle of the Mons, which laid some of the groundwork for the Entente victory at the Battle of the Marne in September 1914. But even though this was a turning point of the war, public opinion at that time turned against French. He was held responsible for the huge British casualties, which were, in reality, low compared to the French and German ones. But no one was used to the sheer scale that the new war had brought with it. He had also wanted to retire his men completely from the Allied line to refit them instead of supporting the French, which didn't sit so well with Lord Kitchener, the British Secretary of State for War. His leadership during the Second Battle of Ypres was also criticized for the number of casualties, and after his failure to break through the German lines at the Battle of Loos, the writing was on the wall. In December 1915, French was replaced by his proxy, Sir Douglas Haig. John French was ordered back to Britain. The official reasons were his lack of determination and his lack of spirit for warfare. Back in Britain, he served as Commander-in-Chief of the Home Forces and then Lord Lieutenant of Ireland. His memoirs came out in 1919, but were highly criticized as being full of inaccuracies and fabrications. And Field Marshal John French, the first Earl of Ypres, died of cancer on May 22, 1925. John French was a soldier through and through, with an impressive military career despite scandal. But all the fighting and all the glory of colonial wars could not prepare him for World War I. Even though the signs of what modern war was like were there in several other wars, such as the Russo-Japanese War, and French could have learned from them, he didn't. On the other hand, the casualties during the early weeks of the war were comparatively low for the British, but how could the public know that in 1914? In the end, John French serves as a good example of the clash of mentalities between colonial glory and modern war. You can see a lot more about the battles French commanded in during the war in our regular weekly episodes, and if you'd like to see another brief bio about one of French's Allied counterparts, click here to see Ferdinand Foch. Tell us what other World War I figures you'd like to see bios of in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe. See you Thursday.